Congratulations on making the decision to look into certification. So you're probably wondering, which certification is best for me? Gosh, there are things like credentials, certificates, badges, certifications. We will also look at the pros and cons of certification, how to get registered for the exams, recertification, and ways to prepare for the exam. Choosing an HR certification depends on various factors such as career goals, experience level, industry, and geographic location. So to find out which certification is best for you, we offer a page on our Train Me Today website that does sort of a look over the requirements, the stuff that we're going to go over today, but you can also catch that on the trainmetoday.com website. Let's start with the Professional in Human Resources, or the PHR exam. So this is offered by the Human Resources Certification Institute, and some people would refer to it as HRCI, but you may not have exactly understood what those initials stand for. This is ideal for the HR professional with experience in program implementation, tactical and logistical orientation, and limited to strategic orientation. Now, I carried my PHR for 15 years before I ever decided to get into a higher level. For 15 years, I was a human resources manager, and I did all of the transactional and all of this stuff, and I then grew into a strategic level human resources person. To be eligible to take the PHR exam, you'll need a minimum of 1 year experience in a professional level HR position with a master's degree or higher, or a minimum of 2 years of experience in a professional level HR position with a bachelor's degree, or if you don't have an education, a formal education like I didn't have for many years, a minimum of 4 years of experience in a professional level HR position with less than a bachelor's degree. Now, you do have to have a GED or a high school diploma for all of these to qualify. However, you don't necessarily have to have a college education. So let's talk about the Professional and Human Resources California now, or the PHRCA, and you'll understand why I'm so excited about this one. This one is also offered by HRCI, and it's designed for HR professionals who have employees in California. Now, I like this one specifically because Train Me Today actually writes the preparation materials for this exam, and we have a very high pass rate, so I'm quite proud of that. The qualifications for the PHR California are the same as they are for the PHR. So that's a minimum of 1 year experience in a professional level HR position with a master's degree or higher, or a minimum of 2 years of experience in a bachelor level HR position with a bachelor's degree or higher, and a minimum of 4 years of experience in a professional level or HR position with less than a bachelor's degree. Now, the Senior Professional in Human Resources, or otherwise known as the SPHR, offered by HRCI, is geared towards more advanced knowledge in strategic decision making and leadership experience. So you're probably looking at somebody who is in line for an executive level position in an organization, or you'll see from the requirements some of the higher level education as well. So to earn your SPHR, you need a minimum of 4 years of experience in a professional level HR position with a master's degree or higher. A minimum of 5 years of experience in a professional level HR position with a bachelor's degree, or a minimum of 7 years of experience in a professional level HR position with less than a bachelor's degree. Now, I did not take my SPHR exam until I had a master's degree and 20 years of experience in human resources. So let's look now at what is on the PHR. In other words, what will you be tested on? You'll be tested on HR information management, employee and labor relations, employee engagement, business management, workforce planning and talent acquisition, learning and development, and total rewards. On the PHRca, you'll be tested on compliance and risk management, health, safety, and workers' compensation, leaves of absence and benefits, compensation, wage and hour, and employment life cycle and employee relations. And you'll notice these are all very transactional items and very specific to California. On the SPHR, you'll be tested on HR information management, safety and security, total rewards, talent management, leadership and strategy, and workforce planning and talent acquisition. And you'll notice this is all very similar to what we saw on the PHR, except for the big difference is 33%, that's over a third of this of the SPHR exam is testing you on leadership and strategy. The Associate Professional in Human Resources, or aPHR, is the newest certification offered in the industry that I know of. It's offered by HRCI, and it's designed for people who have never actually worked in human resources, or maybe they're new and they don't qualify for the PHR, and maybe they are just getting out of the military. We have a lot of those situations. So you don't really have to have any experience or education to take this program. It looks at foundational knowledge and HR principles. For the aPHR, there is no experience required. You must have a high school diploma or a GED. The SHRM-CP, or also referred to as the SHRM Certified Professional, is offered by, SHRM, and it focuses on competencies and knowledge necessary for HR roles. No HR experience is required. It is recommended that you have some basic knowledge of HR practices and principles, and or maybe a degree from an academically aligned program. So I think what this is really set up for is somebody who is graduating from college and with a degree in human resources, and now they can jump right in and get a certification. The SHRM-CP exam is designed to assess the competency level of HR at the operational level. This includes things like implementing policies, supporting the day-to-day HR function, or serving as an HR point of contact for staff and stakeholders. You'll see here that it covers and tests you on behavioral competencies, interpersonal skills, business skills, HR knowledge, organization, and workplace. The SHRM Senior Certified Professional, referred to as the SHRM-SCP, is also offered by SHRM, and it's designed for HR professionals with advanced knowledge and skills in strategy, leadership, and HR practices. To be certified to take the SHRM-SCP, applicants must be able to demonstrate that they devoted at least 1,000 hours per calendar year to strategic level HR related work. They must have at least 3 years performing strategic level HR related duties. SHRM-SCP credential holders who have held the credential for at least 3 years and are working in or are transitioning to a strategic level role. Candidates for SHRM-SCP certification do not need an HR title or a degree to apply. Experience may be either salaried or hourly, and individuals who are HR consultants may demonstrate qualifying experience through the HR-related duties they perform for their clients, with a contracted hours must meet the 1,000 hour standard. There are other certifications. For example, HRCI offers international certifications as well, including the Associate Professional in Human Resources International, the Professional in Human Resources International, and the Global Professional in Human Resources, or GPHR. Now, Train Me Today does not do exam preparation for the international certifications unless we actually have somebody who calls us to do the training for them and they already have an organized class. The Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development offers HR certifications, and the International Public Management Association for Human Resources also offers HR certifications. Besides certifications, there are numerous ways to earn credentials, certificates, badges, other kinds of certifications, and certainly degrees from universities in human resources. Now we'll take a look at the pros and cons of HR certification. So, hello, anytime you get education, you're going to have enhanced knowledge and skills. And trust me, after being in human resources with no education to climbing my way up to the education level of having a master's degree in human resources and 30 years of experience, there's a huge difference between people in the beginning and people at the end in that depth of knowledge and just practical management of human resources. Then on top of that, your certification gives you professional recognition. It's kind of like being a doctor in our world. Well, all right, it's not as cool as being a doctor, but being certified definitely gives you recognition that people who aren't certified obviously don't have. In many cases, it is career advancement. If not in your current organization, maybe they don't really respect certification, but when you get ready to move on, you're definitely going to be able to move out of the level of position that you're in now and up at least one level of HR expertise. Networking, it's huge. I sometimes have to laugh because all my friends are in human resources. No, that's not true. I shouldn't say all of them. But pretty much the people who I really have known for 20, 30 years in many cases have been people I've met through different networking opportunities like PHRA or SHRM meetings, even training classes with different types of organizations. Of course, it sets you apart from the other candidates when you go in to apply for a job. Back in the day when I first got my certification, I did not have a bachelor's degree. I had about 10 years of experience and I had a PHR. So I walk in, and back then also it wasn't as popular, or now it's pretty much mandated if you want to get a new job. But I would walk in and they'd say, well, what is this certification? I'd say, well, this means that I studied really hard and I took a test, a big test, 120 question test, and I passed it. And it's all about human resources. And so basically it means that I know my stuff when it comes to HR. And you know what? I always got the job. I always got the job. All right. And then on top of that, here's for me one of the biggest things. So I've been certified forever. I'm not even going to tell you how many years I've been certified, but I've been certified for a long time. But I stay update. I stay on top of HR because in order to maintain your certification, you have to have recertification credits. So every 3 years, you have to have spent at least 60 hours learning and studying about human resources. And I'll talk to you a little bit about recertification in a bit. All right, now we'll talk about the cons. What is not so cool about being HR certified? Well, first of all, it's expensive. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not cheap. You have to pay for your study materials, you have to pay for exam fees, and then we have to recertify every 3 years. Now, that's not real expensive. It runs, I don't know, probably by the time you guys recertify, it'll probably be up to $400. But it's much better than the cost of actually taking the exam. There's a time commitment, a serious time commitment when you're preparing to take this exam. I will never forget, my Sundays went like this. Get up in the morning, feed the kids. By the way, I was a single mom with 2 little kids. And by single mom, I mean I was a widowed mom. So I didn't even have an ex-husband to take the kids on Sunday. But I would get up, I would feed the kids, tell the kids to go outside and play. And I know you guys don't do that anymore, but in my generation, they had to go outside and play. You can tell them, okay, go play your video games. All right. And then I would do a load of laundry. While the laundry was watching, I would study for 45 minutes. And during that time frame, I usually stuck to sort of like 15-minute intervals. But I spent my entire Sunday from 9 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the afternoon testing myself over and over and over again to make sure that I understood what I was going to be tested on. Now, there's no guarantees. You might take this exam. It's not like a government exam where you take the exam and you're automatically going to get a job, right? There's no guarantee that you're going to do that. There's a lot of good luck and your opportunities are going to be significantly higher, but there's no guarantee for advancement. It's very stressful. It's very, and as I said earlier when I talked about my Sundays, and it's very demanding. The content, it says it may not fully align with your organization's specific needs. So, you know, some of you work for big companies and you work in the employee relations department. And so you might not be that interested, or the benefits section of it might not really apply to what you do. However, this breadth of knowledge that you have will make everything that you do in the employee relations department understand how that fits in with what's going on in the benefits department. And then there's one other thing. Employers are kind of funny sometimes. If you walk in and you're applying for a job and they see that you're certified, they might think, oh gosh, this person's certified, so they want too much money. Well, hello, guess what? You actually deserve more money than the guy who's not certified, but it'll be for you to make sure that you have the conversation with them and apply for jobs. I mean, today in California, you need to put the emphasis on already knowing what that job pays before you ever go in to interview. So that's the cons. There are a few of them, but I don't think they outweigh the pros. So how do you register for the exams? So for the exams, you simply go on to either SHRM or HRCI or wherever you're taking the certification from, and you create an account. And you have to create an account or you're not going to get any real information. So make sure you create your account. Then you decide which certification you're going to take, and you complete the application form and submit it along with paying an exam fee. You'll wait for a little bit for your application to be approved, and they will email you once your application is approved. Some people will not be approved right away. Maybe they filled out their form wrong. Maybe they're not really qualified for the exam they applied for, but for whatever reason, you will be notified by email. Next, you're going to schedule the exam. So you'll visit the website. You've already created an account. You're going to choose whether or not you're going to go to a testing center or have an online proctor and take the test from your home. And you will select a date and a time. Preparation for the exam is critical. I highly recommend Train Me Today, www.trainmetoday.com. Check it out and look at all the different ways that you can actually prepare for a test through Train Me Today. And then take the exam. Make sure you arrive at the testing center early. Once you go through your classes and stuff, everybody's going to tell you how important it is to arrive early to the testing center, and lots of other tips with how to pass the exam. When deciding which exam to take, know that SHRM offers the exams twice a year in July and December, and HRCI offers the exams throughout the year, so you can take them at any time. Here's a few exam tips. Understand the exam content, create a study plan, utilize high quality study materials. We use HRCP, we've used them for years. I used them when I studied. Excellent materials, and even if you don't use Train Me Today programs, I would recommend HRCP.com for your study materials. Join a study group. Take many practice exams. So if you went with HRCP study materials, you're going to have like, I don't know, I'm going to say thousands, maybe hundreds of test questions. And then you're going to have on the Train Me Today website, you're going to have another 200 plus practice exam questions. You want to make sure that you go to some kind of a prep course, even if it's a self-paced course. I prefer live classes, and I'll tell you why. Because on the live classes, we have a really high pass rate. I would say probably about 95%. On the self-paced classes, we don't really know, because we can't really track whether or not the people who take the self-paced course have passed their exams. So unless they tell us, we don't really know. We try following up with them. We don't even actually know who exactly takes them. We know in the live classes that we have, we know because we're in constant contact with them. But once they sign up for self-paced, we don't have an ability to follow them. And then review and revise. And this is another thing that's so important. And we really learned this through COVID. Be healthy. When your brain is not feeling well, it's really hard to concentrate on this exam. So here's a little bit of a brief scenario on what Train Me Today classes are like. But if you really want to know what they're like, you can go on YouTube, Train Me Today, and we literally have, I don't know how many, a bunch of videos up there of actual classes. So you can get an idea of what some of the actual classes are. Some of them are just recordings like this one. There's a great article that we have just sent out through people who are on our email list that talks even more about what our classes are about. And one of the things we really do emphasize in our classes is fun. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but if you are in a boring class and you're just wah, 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 listening to the instructor, it's not a lot of fun. We also require, we have web classes and we have live classes as well, but they're in Irvine and not everybody can get to those. And then we have some in Marietta as well. But most of our students are in our web classes, and we require that you turn on your camera. It's not a matter of sitting there and just listening. You can do that, by the way. We have pre-recorded lectures. So you can do that and just listen to those if you want to, but it's a completely different experience than engaging with your classmates and your instructor. So it's expert-led instruction, comprehensive curriculum, it's interactive, you engage with the instructor and your peers, flexible learning options. We are all working adults, right? Everybody here is working in human resources at some point. And we all know this. I certainly experienced many times. Yeah, I have to stay after work late. We have a big executive meeting and we're going to lay off 5,000 people. Never 5,000, but I've seen it where we had 500 to 700 before that we laid off. And it's just, or there's an ugly termination we have to do. You guys all know, you've all had your own experiences on this, but it means that you need a flexible learning environment. Enrolled students gain access to a wealth of study resources, including comprehensive study guide. So with our plan, it's not just online. You actually get a book as well. And if you're the HRCP materials include 5 different books, and the PHR California materials, which are written by Train Me Today, it's only one big study guide, but it's still a big study guide. And it's funny to look at the faces on new students when they just have taken a look at the books and they haven't even been to class and realized this is a lot. This is a lot. You get personalized support with us. Our instructors will talk to you every day of the week if that's what you need. Now, we won't appreciate it, but we'll do it. We have a proven success stories. You can see some of those on our website. You can see them on Reddit. You can see them on LinkedIn. They're all over the place. And we don't ask, we haven't gotten that far into marketing where we send everybody a Google review asking them how to, whether or not they pass or not. Maybe we should, and maybe we will, but not at this point. So we have a really, really good success rate. And then again, as I talked about earlier, community and networking. So how to earn recertification credits. This is something that is probably weird that I'm going to tell you now, but I have seen students who passed their exam and 3 years later didn't realize they should have been collecting recertification credits all along. You're required to renew your certification every 3 years. It involves continuing education and a renewal fee. Train Me Today offers an online recertification program, but we only offer about 15 of your required programs. Now, once you get certified, you'll go into all the different options that you have. It's not just taking an online class. You can get credit for going to school, you can get credit for reading books, you can get credit for taking other classes, for attending HR meetings. There's a zillion ways that you can actually earn recertification credits. All right, and you want to maintain your certification codes. I can't tell you enough, and we'll remind you throughout time that you need to do that. And then keep thorough records, because every 3 years when you go to recertify, it's possible that they will verify all of your documents. So unless you have those certification codes and a certificate that you attended these different programs, you may get audited. So how do you earn recertification credits? Continuing education, instruction, on-the-job experience, research and publishing, leadership activities, professional memberships, volunteer work, and self-directed learning. So let's wrap this up. Why certified? Career advancement, enhanced knowledge and skills, credibility and recognition, professional growth, networking opportunities, compliance and best practices, increased confidence, organizational impact, and earning potential. Please visit us at Train Me Today, or you can email us at support@trainmetoday, or give us a call at 714-269-9925. These are our wonderful instructors, myself, Jacqueline Thorpe, Kathy Ruffino, Pamela Winters, Terry Lamont, and Efren Garza. Now, like and subscribe. Yep, this is the first time I've ever actually done this. So please like and subscribe if you would like more of this type of information. Thanks. Bye.